Hey, what's going on, good people? Wanted to make another video here today about another topic that I see all the time online. The question is how to get motivation for studying. In my specific case, this is regarding the CFA program, but this rule that I think is pretty important on this topic could apply to studying for anything. It doesn't have to be the CFA program. I have a couple friends studying all day long that are in med school right now. They don't have day jobs and then study the evening like I do. They just study the whole 12, 14 hours a day instead of working 10, studying 3. It could be studying for something like that. It could be really helpful for people in college. So I'll mention a second about, or a little bit about what my study habits were like in college and how if I would have used these principles, it would have helped me out a lot. And kind of in general, for generating motivation for other things you need to get done in life. So I think the real quick and easy answer to how to get motivation to study for something that's very academically difficult like the CFA program or other programs is that you can't. And you have to create a schedule or a system for yourself which allows you to spend the time and put in the work necessary to achieve whatever you're working towards without getting motivated every day, because I don't think that's realistic. So there are a lot of videos on YouTube about motivation, how to get motivation, just videos that are meant to motivate you just in watching those videos, but other videos also people discussing how they get motivated. So I really like people like Gary Vaynerchuk. I like Grant Cardone. Those are a couple YouTube people who talk about motivation and have these videos which are great pieces of information from their perspective about how they stay super motivated. Because if you know anything about either of those people or other similar YouTube personalities, they're business people first, and YouTube kind of came second for them, at least from what I understand. They're intense individuals that by whatever way their personality is wired, I think probably some of it is genetic and some of it also came through years and years of success, but they are, from what it seems like watching them just do YouTube, they are super driven, super motivated every day. These people are 100% motivated, I think, every day, and they have a lot of advice to regular people, and I would consider myself in that group, on how to stay super motivated and how to get things done. I don't think that is a realistic way to do things. For a very small percentage of the population, it's a great way to do them, and I'm talking about people like them. But most people aren't driven by the idea of success every day, and that's not to say that we don't have it. I get that idea all the time. I get motivated by those types of things, and I'm sure almost everyone does. And when you have that type of motivation, it is super easy to put in the 3 hours that evening or that morning. In my case, I study right now 4 to 4:30, 7:30 in the morning before work. I used to do evening hours, but I kind of switched it for mine and my wife's schedule. So now I rarely wake up with the kind of like hyped up motivation to sit down and put in a lot of work and try to learn some really tough topics for this exam that I'm taking here in June. When I used to study in the evening, it was a lot easier to spend some time premeditating, get off work, I'd spend an hour at home, eat some food, do some reading on forums, other people who are studying, and just get really gung-ho about what I'm working towards, again, the CFA program. So it was a lot easier to be motivated when I was studying during those times, but I wasn't motivated every time. And now that I'm studying in the morning, 4:30 to 7:30, I wake up. So I wake up at 4:30. I usually start studying about 4:40. I'm not motivated at all. Only thing I'm motivated to do then is go back to sleep. I am just like drinking a glass of water. I don't drink coffee. Try to wake up with some water. Shake my head, put some water on my face and hair, and I drag myself into this office where I'm sitting. There's no motivation to study. January morning here in Michigan, it's 14 degrees out and raining, sleet or something, and it's just like, it sucks so bad. I am no way want to do that. And my point here is that if you want to achieve something really significant, and I would say the CFA program is something like that, or graduating med school, I use that as an example just because I know other people in that, maybe law school, I don't know, things that take study, work on your own, or just other things that are not studying, working at home type things. I don't think you can rely on motivation to get yourself to get those things done, because it's just not realistic to use these like motivational practices and waste 45 minutes trying to get motivated to do something every day so that you can get yourself to do that. If you try to rely on motivation to get yourself to study every day for, in my case, it's been 2.5 years now, ignoring the 3 or 4 months off during the summer, but every day for most of the year for a few years, I just don't see motivation being enough of a driver to get you to do that every day. Again, for a very small portion of the population, it is probably enough for them because they're motivated like that every day and do what they need to do. But for most people, again, when motivation does come, it makes it really easy to study. I'll tell you that. And it's fun. You know, sometimes I have a lot of fun studying. Okay, I tell myself, okay, I'm going to learn at least one really tough subject tonight. I'll do it. Also do a lot of other practice problems, get some good learning in that day, feel really accomplished, and it was really easy to stay focused too while I was motivated. But it just doesn't happen every day. And for really difficult programs like the CFA program and others, you have to do it every day. You have to study and you have to progress every day. And so if you're not motivated every day, you're not going to make it. You know, you have to study every day, and if you're studying based on motivation, my point is you're not going to be motivated every day, so you're not going to make it. So, what's the solution then? Because what I'm saying is you can't just be a hype beast for studying, basically. It's really just setting your schedule. And I kind of talked about this in a couple of my other videos on how I passed so far level 1 and 2 of the CFA program. But it's setting your schedule and having a perspective about that schedule. So here's what I mean by that. So first, setting the schedule. You got to know what it is. How many hours do you think it's going to take you to pass? A lot of people say CFA is 300 to 400. I'm doing 600 because I want to guarantee. I have the flexibility with my work schedule. I work in finance, but I work like 40, 50 hours. Some people in finance work 80 week in and week out. They can't put aside the time that I can, so I'm lucky in that regard. I also don't make as much money as some of those people, but I'm doing pretty well. So I have the time, number one, and number two is how much do I think I need to put in to pass this test? If I was a super genius, it'd be 100 hours. There are people out there that do that. I'm not that. I think I'm a little below average for the people chasing this charter. So I want to put in more time than them. You know, I would have put in the most time. And it's fun to get motivated and talk about that when you're in the mood for it. But like I said, cold January mornings, no one's going to be motivated to beat all the other competition. So you have to make the decision years in advance on how you're going to do that. And that's number one with scheduling. Decide how much time you need to spend. For me, it's 3 hours a day, 4:30 to 7:30 from November to July, basically. And then August, September, August off. July, yeah, August, September, August, October off. But that's my schedule. No days off, no Christmas off, nothing like that. Because that's the amount of time I think is necessary to put in. Now, people who are in med school, I have a buddy, I think he does like 12 hours a day, you know, and that's what it takes to be the top 10 percentile in the med program he's in the state of Indiana. So it depends on your situation, but you got to decide that schedule. And then number two, and this is the more important part, so hear me out here, is the mentality around that schedule. It can't be something you can miss in your mind. It cannot be an optional part of your day. And I frame it in my own mind exactly like going to work. And I use this argument a lot for other people in finance because the majority of people in the CFA program work in finance. And so they all have fairly demanding jobs, I would say. And they're all fairly highly achieving people in those jobs, not people who are calling in sick to work and everything like that. You don't consider if you're going to go into work in the morning. You don't say, oh, it's tired, oh, it's my birthday, oh, it's this or that. No one, at least of the group of individuals that I'm thinking of here, and probably the group I'm talking to, and if you're not in this group, you need to get in it, to be honest. No one thinks about, on a daily basis, if they're going to go into work that day. It's not a question. It's a given in their mind. It's not even something where they're identifying that it's a given. Okay, it's not like they wake up in the morning and they say, okay, what parts of my schedule are optional and which parts are given? Oh, go to work, that's a given, I have to do that. There's not even a deliberation. I guess I don't know how else to describe it other than you do it no matter what and you don't question it. Okay, so that frame of mind is very successful for getting to work every day, right? Apply that same thing to your study habits, whether you're in college or whatever. Now, this would have helped me a lot in college. In college, I didn't study super well. I got like C's mostly in college, some B's and C's. And I could have done better than that. I felt like at the time I was applying myself as hard as I could have. Now, being as good as studying as I am now. I would consider myself very good at studying, not great. I still get distracted. I could definitely be better. But if I was as good of a studier in college 3 years ago as I am now, I would have done a lot better in college. I would have had a better GPA, could have had more opportunities, really. Looking back, I might not have wanted to take any of those. But that being said, if you are looking to get a better GPA in college, scheduling out your study routine and treating it as a given is a super productive way to do it. I didn't do it in college, so I can't really speak from experience though. My roommate did. Dude was like a 4.0. I went to a prestigious school. Guy got a 4.0 in pre-med. Now he's at a top med school. And I remember looking at this guy. He'd wake up at 9:30 on Saturday. Oh, I have to get up at 9. I'm thinking, you got Saturday and Sunday. Things aren't even due Monday. Why are you? He had a set schedule. 9:30 on Saturday was his time to start, and he would go until like 4 p.m. or something. And it wasn't a given in his mind. And we would ask him, hey man, why are you? And he kind of said, oh, I got to do it. And we always thought, he's a nerd, whatever. I mean, we all studied too, just not as strictly as this guy. And man, was it successful for him. Set the schedule and frame it in your mind as a mandatory. Okay, it's not a question whether you're going to do that day. So, look, if you do those two things, and listen to me, doing those two things is a lot easier than getting this super high level feeling of motivation every day to power you through. If you're relying on that, it's 99% of the time not going to work. I'm just telling you. I've grinded through so many 3-hour study sessions where the whole time I was dreading what I was doing, feeling the very opposite of motivated. And when you're feeling like that, again, relying on motivation is not going to get it done. It's got to be, number one, setting your schedule, and number two, it has to be framed in such a way that it is not optional. I do not miss a day of studying, I'll tell you that. And other people in the CFA program, I know that they schedule out 2 hours a day from January to June or whatever. But some of them, it was sunny, I'm going to take my dog for a walk. Listen, my dog's going to have to wait. That's just the mentality that I think you don't have to have, but if you have, will very much increase your chances of success in studying for anything, especially the CFA program. So there's my thoughts on motivation, guys. It's kind of a downer on motivation. I love being motivated. I love having that feeling that I'm just gonna beat the world up today and sit down, and I think those are some of the best study sessions, but it's just not realistic to rely on that because you're not gonna have it every day. So don't rely on motivation to put in that time. Rely on strict rules that you have to follow, that you've put in place for yourself, and I think you'll have a much better chance of success. So thanks, guys. That's my thoughts on it.